I have more questions. It's often said
Sorry,
that...
there isn't time.
Yes, there is. We can make it. It's said that we as humans only use 10% of our brain.
That much?
Well, that's the question is, what do we need to do to wake up or ignite the other 90%? Is that something that's doable, achievable?
Yes. Whoever was saying that may or may not have been talking about the actual rockets firing in the physiology of the brain. In other words, they might have strapped some contraption to someone to see what was firing and what wasn't firing. But if we were to make that statement, and we don't disagree with it, we would say it's because when you are not in alignment with who you are a fraction of the being that you are. And when you take the time to get into alignment with who you are, now you're operating from this full level. In other words, Esther is demonstrating here what it's like to be connected with source energy. In other words, she is allowing a fuller part of that infinite intelligence to flow through her. And if you walked around with her all day, every day, you'd notice the difference. In other words, sometimes 10% is here, sometimes 100% is here.
Okay.
Sometimes 50% is here. It just sort of depends on what subject she's focused upon and how much in alignment she is allowing. She said to Jerry the other day, and she really meant this, she said, I know I sound like a schizophrenic because I tell you how I feel, and then I realize how I want to feel, and I focus on how I want to feel, and before I know it, that's how I feel. In other words, you have the option of being as little of who you are or as much of who you are in every moment in time. And we think that's the best way to approach that. Anybody that focuses on anything without resistance will find the genius of the thought. That's what genius is. It's focusing upon a subject without resistance and allowing law of attraction to bring you all of the information that you are asking for. Focus without resistance and find out how brilliant you are.
So if somebody was, say, an average student of math, and...
An average student of math doesn't care about math.
Could somebody get to a point where they're a math genius?
They'd have to want it. In other words, an average student of math is somebody who didn't go there because they wanted to be there. Their parents made them go. The system made them go. So they're going through the motions, but they don't care about it. And so the universe is never going to assist them into that. Where someone who is intoxicated by the idea of it, who is enthralled by the numbers of it, who loves the idea of the science of it, who wants to integrate the formula so that it can be applied in endless ways, someone that has a passion for it, they're going to get tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And the genius of mathematics is going to flow through them. It's like the comedian with timing. You call some of them masters or brilliant, even though they're telling jokes. But they're telling them from broader perspective. They're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. The basketball genius who has the timing and an understanding and the intuitiveness to know which way you're going to go so he can zig and zag in opposite ways. Who has the control of his physical body. Who can tell the spatial relationship between where he is and where the goal is. And has the ability to integrate the knowledge of his own muscles and the thrust and strength and force and factor in gravity and all of that stuff in order to put that ball right where it belongs. None of that came out of the human mind. It's all coming from being in vibrational alignment with source energy, you see. The surgeon who is operating, who is really flying blind. In other words, when they tell you they're practicing medicine, they're not kidding. They don't have a clue really what's going on in your physical body. But some of them are intuitively inspired. Some of them have the resources there and they get into vibrational alignment with source, and wonderful things flow through them. The musician, the artist, every single one of you, no matter what it is that you are about, you have the ability to be genius if it is your desire. But what goes wrong is other people have the gall to think that they have the right to choose your disciplines, to choose for you. And when you allow others to choose and you jump through their hoops, you rarely become anything more than mediocre. Because the mediocrity is about trying to jump through their hoops rather than getting in alignment with who you are. Feel the difference. So you're living life and you're throwing it over, and you're living life and you're throwing it over, you're living life and you're throwing it over. Rockets of desire shooting out of you all day, every day. There is an incredible, genius, masterful, productive, prosperous, healthy, vital you already over there calling you forward. And when you do something because you should, you don't go. When you do something because somebody else wants you to, you don't go. When you go because it feels good to you, you go. When you follow your own inspiration rather than being prodded by someone else's motivation is the difference between alignment or not, which is the difference between power or not, which is the difference between abundance or not, which is the difference in, it's the difference in everything, you see. You have the ability in every moment to use 100% of you. And you're doing it every time you feel exhilaration, every time you feel appreciation, every time you feel love. So imagine getting focused on something that matters to you, like the stock market, or like a craft, or like achieving something, or like painting something. Imagine choosing something that matters to you and getting tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and letting 100% of you focus on whatever that subject is. Not only will you achieve massively, and not only will others find you amazing, you will love every moment of involvement under those conditions, which is what it's all about anyway.